Really, this unconfirmed report must have turned your head. Sending Annie to tell me I must see you immediately. Didn't she tell you I was arrested?
You'd better sit down, Mother.
More mystery? Perhaps you'd better begin by telling me where you were while I was away. You've admitted you lied.
Yes.
Where were you?
In New York. I followed you. I saw you meet Brant.
Well, I told you I ran into him by accident.
You went to his room.
He asked me to meet a friend of his, a lady.
I saw you with him alone.
He said he had to talk to me about you. He wanted my help to approach your father.
How can you lie like that? How can you be so depraved as to try to use me to hide your vile guilt?
Really?
Stop lying. I saw you in his arms. You're evil and shameless. Even if you are my mother, I say it.
I knew you hated me, Vinnie, but not so bitterly as that. Very well. I love Adam Brant.
How you say that? Without any shame. How can you do this to Father?
You would understand if you were the wife of a man you hated.
Stop talking like that before him. I won't listen.
You will listen. I'm talking to you as a woman now, not as a mother to daughter. That relationship has no meaning between us now. You've called me vile and shameless. Well, I want you to know that's what I felt about myself for over 20 years, every time I was in his arms.
Stop telling me such things.
Oh, I loved him once before I married him. But marriage soon turned my love into disgust.
So I was born of your disgust. I always guessed that, Mother. Ever since I was little, when I'd run to you with love and you'd always push me away. I hate you. It's only right that I should hate you.
Oh, I tried to love you. I told myself it wasn't human not to love my own child, born of my body, but I never could make myself feel you were born of anybody but his. You were always my wedding night to me, and my honeymoon.
You loved Oren. Why didn't you hate him too?
Because by then I had forced myself to become resigned in order to live. And while I was carrying him, your father was with the army in Mexico. I could forget him. When Oren was born, he seemed to be my own child, only mine. And I loved him for that. I loved him until he let you and your father nag him into this war.
It was his duty as a man to go.
Well, I hope you realized I never would have fallen in love with Adam if I'd had Oren with me. When he'd gone, there was nothing left but hate and a desire to be revenged and a longing for love. Then I met Adam. I saw he loved me.
He doesn't love you. You're only his revenge on Father. Do you know who he really is? He's the son of that common nurse girl Grandfather put out of our house.
So you found that out? Were you hoping it would be a crushing surprise to me? I've known it all along.
Oh, I suppose that gave you all the more satisfaction to add that disgrace.
Will you kindly come to the point and tell me what you intend doing? I suppose you'll hardly let your father get in the door before you tell him.
Not unless you force me to. You know Father would disown you publicly, no matter what the scandal cost him. Oh, I'd like to see you punished. So please understand this isn't for your sake, it's for Father's. He hasn't been well, and I'm not going to have him hurt.
I know better than to expect any generosity on my account. Come to the point.
I won't tell him, provided you give up Brant and never see him again.
What a fraud you are, Vinnie. Oh, I'm not denying you want to save your father's pride. And I know how anxious you are to keep the family from more scandal. But that's not your real reason for sparing me.
It is.
You love Adam Brant. You wanted him for yourself.
That's a lie.
Now you know you can't have him. You're determined to take him from me.
Don't be ridiculous.
If you told your father I'd have to go away with Adam, he'd still be mine. You can't bear that thought, even at the price of my disgrace. Can you stop it? Oh, I've watched you ever since you were little, trying to do exactly what you're doing now. You've always schemed to steal my place with your father and Oren.
It's you who stole all love from me from the time I was born. Well, are you going to do what I told you or not?
What if I refuse? Suppose I go off openly with Adam. Where will you and your father and the family be after that scandal?
You'd be disgraced more.
I'd have the man I love.
Not for long. Father would get your lover blacklisted and he'd lose his ship and never get another. And Father won't divorce you, never. You'd be an anchor around Brand's neck. He'd grow to hate the sight of you. Don't forget your age. He'll still be in his prime when you're an old, ugly woman.
You devil, you
I wouldn't call names if I were you.
I'm a fool to let you make me lose my temper. But you want my answer, don't you? Well, I agree to do as you say.
You promise not to see Brand again?
Yes.
You'll have to tell him yourself you're through with him.
Yes, when he comes.
He's waiting outside.
Shall I call him in?
You seem to take giving him up pretty easily.
You think I'll ever give you the satisfaction of seeing me grieve? Or no, Vinnie, you'll never have a chance to gloat.
I know you're thinking already how you can fool me and break your promise. But you'd better not try it. I'll be watching you every minute, and I won't be the only one. I wrote to Father and Orrin.
About Adam?
Only enough so they'll be suspicious and watch you.
I see what it's going to mean. That you'll have me under your thumb for the rest of my life. Take care, Vinnie, you'll be responsible if what? Nothing. I only meant if I went off with Adam. Of course, you know I can't do that. There is nothing I can do now but obey your orders.
You ought to see it your duty to Father, and not my orders. Now call him in and tell him what you've got to do. Give me a chance to get out the back way. And I want him out of this house before I get back. If he's not, I'll write Father again.